Hey, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of Vox and Jed to Fight About It, the first episode of year 2 of Vox and Jed Fight About It.
51.
We're on number 51, that's right, the big 51, stole it right out of my mouth. Things look a little different here, but fear not, we're still the same show. You've still tuned into the right Spotify and or YouTube channel, fear not. But I've gone through a little redesign myself. We talked more about like the rest of these art assets on the pre-show, so I'll just say very briefly that like man, the new assets look great. The new background is great. The new logo is great. The new table is great. It's all great. What's specifically great?
It's amazing.
That we're gonna be talking about, right now on the main show is I got a redesign myself. I went out of my way and I sat down and I made a new character, and I made shit work, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with how it came out.
It's a really nice looking character, and it works really well with our, color palette and everything, especially now that, like, Basil has been getting more involved into things in these 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because there have been more developments that have happened, and so Basil's kind of picked up a yellow color, so we've got this, red, blue, and yellow, and that's quite a nice set of colors here. And
yeah,
I like the
we
fact
cover,
that
we cover
damn near
all the
inverted.
primary colors. Yeah,
yeah, and that's really cool. I'm really a big fan of this redesign, and of course, again, we talked about this on the pre-show, but MK did all the assets. They're now the official artist of Vox and Jed Fight About It, and we are spectacularly happy with it. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, but we got a bunch of these new assets in. We got a bunch of these new assets in, and I'm really happy with them, and I'm really happy with my redesign. And honestly, it comes with some changes. We'll come out the gate here, and we'll talk content changes of like so last year where we left off 2 weeks ago. We were doing some themed episodes. We did 10 themed episodes to finish off the year, and boy was that a fucking wreck. But over the course of those 10 episodes, there were certain developments in life that we could not talk about, that we talked about on some pre-shows, but, like, other than that, didn't really get discussed. And so, we have so much to talk about on this special 51 back at it normal episode, that, like, we're bouncing around all over the place, just trying to get it all out, man. We're all over, but not to mention that we haven't been doing this for 2 weeks. So both of us are kind of a little sluggish.
Rusty.
We're a little sluggish on the mics today. So I want to get out ahead of that and say that of like, yeah, we got a lot to say and we're out of practice with saying it. So expect this episode to be sort of like a crawl before we walk, before we run into year 2, which hopefully we'll be running by 10 episodes into year 2. By episode 60 we'll be nifty 60. It'll be great.
Hell, I think by, like, episode 53 we'll be there, because I didn't realize how much, like, the flow of the weeks and how much I got used to it, and how quickly I would get rusty. I didn't realize that was a skill that we would have to keep up on occasionally. But, man, it is exciting to be back.
It is exciting to be back, but this commentary thing is like, it's a skill, it's a muscle that you have to continuously work out to like have it still. And so like this hiatus we've taken has not done either of us any real favors. Because I was on a different hiatus from all the other shit that we make. And so like we just got nothing done in that 2 weeks, literally nothing. We got a lot done. We got a lot of rebranding stuff done. But I mean front facing, nothing came out in those 2 weeks. And so it is really good to be back. It is spectacular to be back. But yeah, you forget how much routine can help. You forget how much having a routine and like, yeah, I'm gonna like, because I'm in the practice of it, I'm writing down topics throughout the week. I've got a full topic list by the time we come to the show on Thursday. But like this week, I didn't have anything until Thursday because it was like straight up. I'm out of routine with it. That just hasn't been in my routine for a couple weeks. And for me specifically, I'm such a routine-oriented person that it, like, super throws me, at least, to not have that, like, grounding of, like, yes, we will record the show on Thursday that comes out on Sunday. That is a scheduled thing.
Yeah.
That way I'll wake up Thursday. Like, it's also, like, the subconscious like thing of like, all right, I woke up today with the knowledge that I have to do this thing today. Great, awesome. Like, it's just subconscious at that point of just like, yeah, I have to do that. I'm mentally prepared. There we go. You know? As opposed to like, oh shit, we have to do the podcast this week, you know? So it's good that we have a routine, it's good that we have a schedule, and it's good to be back on that schedule.
It is, yeah. I found that we got to like recording day this week, and I was like, "Oh shit, podcast recording is today." And then I felt like I was unprepared, so I just focused on it all day, and I got like nothing done up to recording.
You just got locked in on that paralysis, man.
Time paralysis is a bitch, yeah. But I don't know. I've got a first place to take it. If you're if you don't have anything in mind,
actual real topic of year 2. No, yeah, you take it. You go right ahead. You have our first topic.
Well, kind of topic. Just like the state of changes with the show. I think we should go
we're still
over
talking about changes to the. Why did you take us into such an abrupt transition to continue talking about the thing we were already talking about?
Because it was a minor adjustment to formatting, and I'm out of practice. But yeah, sorry about that. But year 2 for the show. I think we've talked about it quite a bit, Vox. And we did the first year with the whole 50 thing. And we proved that we could do it. And it was brutal. It was brutal. There were just some weeks that it was like, by all accounts, we shouldn't have done
as crazy as it sounds, putting out this 2-hour show every single week, -2 for a year, with like 2 set aside for emergencies. That is not a lot of slack, turns out. I thought that was a lot. Yeah. I thought that was kind of a lot of slack, but I thought it would be challenging still. But it was more challenging than I thought it would be. And we've both agreed that we want to sort of, like, quality over quantity with these episodes, where it's like, yeah, if we can't deliver the episode on time, we will just eat that and deliver it a day or 2 late, and make sure it's a good episode rather than just rushing an episode out. So we're really trying to take the effort in, and we're not sure what that means. We're not sure if that means you get 40 episodes, or you get 60, or you get none. Like that, like I have no idea about how that will actually affect the show going forward, because we haven't had a super in-depth discussion of it. But we've just basically changed heading from this ship from, I want to get 50 episodes out in year 1 to, for year 2, maybe we slow it down. Maybe we slow down just a touch, and we take the show at pace, and we like really settle into making this thing. And settle into making it, like, for the first year, we just wanted to make it and have, like, a leg to stand on. In year 2, I want to prove that, like, that having that leg is worthwhile, and having done that means that we can make a good show now, is what I'm hoping. Like, not that we weren't making a good show before, necessarily, but I'm hoping that will lead us to make a better show, if that makes any sense. That will improve the show greatly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And improve our ability to do the show. Yeah?
Even just with this minor 2-week gap, I've noticed a drop in performance. And I think for year 1, if we had missed like any amount, if we didn't have that 50 episode thing set, I don't think we would have made it through the first half of the year. I think there would have been something eventually, and we would have lost steam. I think having that heavy goal was really important for us in year 1. And I'm really glad that it's out of the way.
Yeah, I guess that's an angle of it I hadn't really considered, that, like, I think we both knew the whole time, is just that, like, this is a real no brakes, all gas kind of project when it comes to it. When it's, like, it's not like it's a lot of work, but it's, like, it's a marathon, you know? Where it's, like, we're not going that fast, but we gotta go long on this thing. And I think both of us knew that, like, if something drastic happened and we didn't have, like, a finisher point to hit, for at least like getting it started properly, that we would let it slip, and that we would lose interest, and it just would fall off because of our own disinterest in it, you know? But now we've really like put a base on this thing. We've really put like a foundation under us, and I'm pretty much locked into Vox and Jed fight about it now. Like I don't mind just continuing to do this show just ad nauseum. Not that I minded before, because again, that's the same thing I was saying in year 1. I just need to like reassure that, like, no, I mean it, man. I mean it.
Yeah. Especially with the new assets. It is crazy how much with the they do for the professionalism of the show. We aren't just in a void, and that's nice.
Yeah, we're not just like
But
floating in a space with like a spinning background with our faces on it. We're like in a studio space, which looks pretty
yeah,
phenomenal. I encourage you dear viewer, if you're on a video platform where you can, take a minute and gander over at some point, because there's some really fun corresponding details on either side that I think you might enjoy. Oh, excuse
yeah,
me. But
yeah. It really says a lot about us for little things that we've never even brought up. So that's always fun. So
yeah, and
keep
there's
an eye
stuff
out for
relating
little
to the show
details.
back there. There's stuff about us back there. There's all sorts back there. And so like I'm really happy with the new assets, especially. They really make this feel like, no,
Mhm.
this is Vox and Jed fight about it. Um but they really are another nail in that coffin of like, nah, we're doing fight about it, man. That's just where we're at. We're doing
Yeah,
this for a while, you know. Like, I
for
have
a
no doubt in
while
my
until
mind
we
we'll
get
get through year 2 and then year 3 and then beyond. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that we can do that. You know? Will the show be in a
yeah.
good place at
Like
that point? Who knows? But I know we can do it.
who knows? At this point, I know there will be some sort of show on the internet where we talk. Um, the only reason that I could see switching away from this podcast specifically is if we somehow got like a radio show job or something fucking incredible like that. Which would just like fill that slot. But either way, this is the show.
Come on,
This
man.
is
We
what
can't
we're
be talking
doing, and
about
this is
like
what
doing
I'm
a
focused.
bigger, better show where we get paid money, like on our show, like our big like. See, that's the thing, dear viewer, that Jed just like has no sense for of just like his fucking stupid Cro-Magnon brain will just present him the idea of yeah, I should like while we're talking about how great it is in this like new beginning of year 2 and how like we have like a great like foundation under us and a great like future ahead of us. Let me talk about like all the reasons that we might maybe someday end the show and stop doing this forever. When the fuck brought you there?
Well, I didn't. What brought me there was because I had this vision in my head of like, oh god, episode 51. We said we were gonna do this for like ever. We got a different job opportunity, but we gotta keep doing Vox and Jed fight about it. My stupid ass brain likes
But
to
I
put in
think that
contingencies.
everybody on this earth understands that, like, yeah, barring better opportunity, like, if we could do this same thing but under better circumstances, yeah, absolutely, I'll take that. But I just mean in general,
Yeah.
barring doing this in like a bigger and better format, yeah, no, I don't see myself leaving this show. And of course, like this clip will probably be
Absolutely,
played
yeah.
when we're inevitably not doing this halfway through year 2 or some shit. But I don't see this going anywhere.
Don't say
I don't see
that.
it stopping. I don't see it going anywhere. But
I don't see it going anywhere.
I think we
either.
should finally
Oh,
actually
man.
get away from talking about the show on the show.
Yeah,
Because we got a whole pre-show to
absolutely.
talk about the show on the show, and somehow we're talking about the show on the show for the first like 20 minutes again.
Yeah, it happens on this show.
Give us
You got a topic? Or
I got a topic. I got a topic. Because speaking of new things, over this 2 weeks, one of the things that has happened is I got a new PC, you got a new PC.
Yep.
We're both under like and Basil got my old PC, and so we're all under brand new systems and brand new circumstances. How's that
And
been?
much
How have
better
you been adjusting?
circumstances.
Because I've been loving the extra breathing room. Oh, I'll get into mine in a minute. I'll let you take it first. How's the new PC
Yeah.
treating you?
So yeah, I got like a pre-built, just like one of the better ones I could get from
Mhm.
Best Buy. Just because like I ended up getting a Best Buy credit card and I realized that like I'd rather get the PC now and be paying it off, or at the time it was because I was concerned about taxes and tariffs and how much prices would go up in the next few years. But I ended up picking up the PC and it's working great. I've allowed it to kind of breathe. I've switched my habits with it, where my old PC I used to turn off every night. This new PC, I've just turned off the lights and I've just kind of been letting it stay on at night.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's been running better for it. I didn't realize how much of a difference it makes to have all of your applications already open when you sit down at your PC.
No, yeah, that's one of those things that I've been
yeah,
singing
mine
the
is
praises of to you for years that you just like there's just nothing I could do for you. That's one of those that you just have to
I
get
just had
over on
no way
your
to turn
own.
off the LEDs. Yeah. I like my old PC just had these bright ass blue LEDs on the front of them that I couldn't turn off ever. And it was a bitch and I couldn't sleep with it like that. So I ended up just not bothering with troubleshooting, which I learned recently once putting that PC in its like permanent resting place, which is like a console status.
Mhm.
Um that I could have just plugged in like the reset switch to the LED board I had, and then there you go. I had functional LEDs all the time. I just couldn't be fucked, I guess.
Just
Um,
couldn't manage
but
it.
yeah, my PC change is way less exciting than yours because yours actually has consequences.
Oh, don't say that, because I don't think mine has many consequences at all. Because the thing that I did, because I also just bought a pre-built under similar circumstances. I got mine though because my PC is actively shitting the bed,
Mhm.
and it to the point where it was like it needed a Windows reinstall, and that fixed almost every problem with it. But I was like, you know what? It's been about 5 years. I've had this thing about that long. It was kind of middle of the road when I bought it. Let me do the thing again and buy another middle of the road PC. Because the idea was I'll just buy one last pre-built, and that was the previous machine. I'll just buy one last pre-built, and then I'll just upgrade that pre-built forever. And then I bought an HP pre-built,
Mhm.
which is like an awful choice for like I'd like to be able to like move around shit in this case with any amount of like
Yeah.
leverage or room to work with. So this time I've done the same thing where I just bought a pre-built that's like better than average, but not amazing. It's got a 4060 in it and a fucking like a decent i5 with I don't know, man. I don't want to get into PC specs right now,
Yeah.
but it's doing all right for me. It's doing all right. It's something that again I'm hoping because it's got a much larger case and it's like a pre-built made aftermarket by a company, and so it's all like stock shit that came with the parts instead of like OEM
Oh
shit
yeah.
that's like, oh, I'm gonna have to like what's that? I'm gonna have to like call HP and like get a new connector. No, okay, no, we're not doing that. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
You know. And so
That's
like
the
it's gonna be so
Mhm.
much easier to execute on that just upgrade it as I go plan with this one, which is super exciting. And that's just point number one of why this PC upgrade is exciting.
Oh
So
yeah.
maybe you're right. Maybe it is a pretty exciting consequential upgrade.
It is, at least for you. And just for the viewers, I would give you the advice that if you are going to pick up a PC, make sure you do what Vox and I did, which we bought it from companies that are just companies that just take raw parts and build them into PCs pretty much. So they're actually modular. Like my PC has more than one PCIe slot, and that's important.
Yeah.
If you are looking to get into a new PC.
I don't want to give
But
any PC buying
yeah.
advice from myself officially on the show, so I'm gonna unco-sign that just because it's good advice. But it's like, man, that's one kind of advice that just like goes down the drain immediately. Like that's not gonna be worth like
Yeah.
anything in like a year or two somehow. Like that piece of advice just won't be
It's
relevant anymore the second you've said it. Too much of an evolving industry for me to
absolutely.
want to put a word down for it. But that was point number
Yeah.
one. Point number two
Mhm.
was I had a 1660 Ti, which is a fine card. It works great, and it's plenty powerful. It's in line with the 20 series, in fact, in terms of like raw power. The problem with it,
Mhm.
the problem with it though, is just it doesn't have DLSS support. It doesn't have ray tracing support. It doesn't have support for most like modern graphics settings that like came out in like with ray tracing, because ray tracing was the big thing where it's like, well, we already have to like lock off like this feature to certain graphics cards, might as well put all the other cool shit we have to lock off and make this the generational bump. So like I just was on the wrong side
Yeah.
of that hill, and so now like having a 4060, even though it's not the best 40 series card at all, having a 4060 means that I'm in line feature wise with what's expected of like a modern gaming PC. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're not in the
I
Stone
didn't know until
Ages
recently.
anymore. So that's another point up. You didn't know till
Yeah.
recently?
We had a friend bring up that they downloaded Doom the Dark Ages, And they were like, yeah, I booted it on my PC. And it turns out their PC is actually the exact same one that Vox has. They bought it at the same time. And they were like, yeah, it didn't even let me boot it. It just told me I didn't have ray tracing and then closed itself. Yeah, the one that you had, right. And I didn't know that that's the point we got with video games now, is that we're able to just be like, dude, your card doesn't support ray tracing. You are currently like in the previous generation. We're just not going to support you. I think that's fucking wild.
That's mostly just what pushed this upgrade right now with like so much expenditure this year already from me. Is that like, dude, it just had to happen. There's just a point where it's like, dude, I can't. I remember back when I had an iPhone 4 when I was a kid, in like my early teens, up through when I was like 16 or 17. And if you do the math, that's 2016, 2017. That's like, like, and this is for a device that like runs iOS 7. That is the version of iOS this thing ran on, and it was in its final version. And so it got to the point where like everything but like Safari and like the clock app and like YouTube, just about like everything else was like, hey, no, your device is simply too old. We just do not have support for you anymore. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, are we serious? And so like that's the point I had just gotten to with the old PC. And so I was just like, yeah, no. I could see that coming. Like it's not here yet, but I could see it coming. So I'm just gonna go ahead and upgrade.
The writing's on the wall.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
This one needs to get gone. I need to get the new one in, you know. And if I'm going to be doing what I'm doing or what I'd like to be doing, which is like again, because that's a completely unnecessary upgrade right now. Honestly, like it's necessary. Yeah. It will be necessary in like a year or two, and I don't know if I'll be able to afford it in a year or two. So now is just the best possible time.
Yeah,
to do
exactly.
That. But it's unnecessary in that like. That PC can still play every game that came out this year on, like, medium to high settings at, like, 60 FPS, 1080p, just fine. Just fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fine machine. I just need a little more than fine, personally. So I've handed it down to my husband, which is my final point about this, is, like, now Basil has a machine. And that's fantastic, because that means we get to rope Basil in on shit like playing GTA Online and whatnot. That didn't work previously when they were like a Steam Deck exclusive user.
It's really opened some shit up because now they have a microphone. They have access to play literally every game that we can.
Yeah.
With the exception of like slower load times. And that's really, really nice for content reasons and for just like hanging out with friends. Because it's nice to not ever have to look at that fucking Steam Deck compatibility thing whenever I'm looking for a game to play with my friends. It is so goddamn nice.
I bet it is nice. And now our Steam Deck can, like, finally live the life of a normal Steam Deck and not be, like, a daily driver machine for my husband every day. And can, like, we can go back to enjoying that as, like, yeah, this is just my handheld, you know, that I use when I'm not at my desk. You know, which I doubt I'll get much use out of my fancy schmancy new ray tracing graphics card and whatnot. I feel like I'm going to be playing a lot of my video games right here for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, in general, that's going to be great for that thing because it'll finally be able to, like, breathe. Because, man, that thing has been under load for a couple years now. So it's great to finally get that down to like a more manageable level. As, like, a little machine to, like, play games on occasionally. I've heard that PSP and PS Vita games look fucking phenomenal on that thing. So I'm tempted to, like, throw some of those on there and check that out. Because it is just a big goddamn PSP, dude. So I'm totally down to have a gander at that. The PS Vita was a really nice console, yeah.
It got, like, shafted by the games on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a goddamn shame.
But yeah,
the PS Vita was really comfortable. It had like those rubber grips and like the little like the piddly little sticks on it weren't that bad, honestly. Like I kind of liked them.
They weren't too bad. No, I actually. So the reason that I know like a decent amount about the PS Vita is because I was looking into getting the PS Vita after it was pretty much already in the ground. I was like, this thing's cool. This thing's so cool. I actually kind of want this.
I've thought about getting one, just like a little emulation device to have. I want it. I want to have it as an option. I want to be the guy with a garage full of like 20 like different sports cars, except Like, and except, like, it's just consoles. I want to go into a room and I want to go, I want to play on the fucking PS Vita today. I'm picking something out, I'm playing a PS Vita game, and that's just what I'll be locked into. I want to be able to go into a room, pick a controller off a shelf, sit down on a nice comfy couch, and play a video game, dude. And so I want to, like, have, like, a huge physical collection someday. That's been, like, a childhood dream, dude. You just, like, woke that back up. Because it's, like, ridiculous, though, economically. Because it's just like, no, I can already play this on, like, I can't even count on my hands the amount of devices that I own that could play PSP games on them. No, I'm not buying a goddamn PSP. You know? I just can't make it happen.
With, like, emulator settings that make it look better.
That too.
Like...
But I'd still, like, there's still some charm in, like, the real thing. And it's just, like, there's something to be said of, like, is the joy I would get out of playing PSP games in their natural habitat worth buying a PSP? Because realistically, you'd play it for like a month, and then you'd put it down, and then like I assume that you would have another PSP phase in a few years. Because that's how I am. I'll like I find my Game Boy or like my DS and whatnot in a drawer occasionally, and I'll just have a time with that where it's like, oh yeah, fucking put the R4 card in it, pick it up. And then fucking, like, boot up a game and fucking play some Mario Brothers. Yeah, let's have a time, you know? Like, I have, like, one of those every few years. So I feel like it would be worth buying for, like, the repeat usage you would get. Maybe. But, like, just picture one of every console with a fucking, like, with a flash cart in every single one of them. Fuck the actual... and then, like physical copies of games we want physical copies of course. But, if you just want to quick, dirty play something, throw it on an SD card, throw it on a flash cart, there you go. You know?
Yeah, the ability to just pick up a PS Vita and play a PS Vita game would actually be really fucking cool for, like, almost every console.
We should start amassing that collection in the house. That's what we should do. Like, post-move, we should start, like, start doing that. Which, by the way, the move has been delayed indefinitely, for those unaware. I know that news has been kind of erratic for the show. The moving situation is complicated. Bing, bing, bing. That's where we're labeling it as complicated.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be moving sometime later this year. And it's just a matter of, I don't know when. You know, work is still being done. Things are still actively happening. But that's just been pushed back. So that's more of still like a wistful good thoughts thing again to me. Is like, oh yeah, when the move inevitably happens. Because it is inevitable. It's just going to take forever. And now that it is. Now that there's not, like, a day to look forward to and be disappointed in, it almost, like, it's just happy again. It's a happy thought again of just like, oh, hell yeah. It'll happen, and it doesn't really matter when. It just will, and it'll be great. Sorry, what are you saying?
And currently, I could go back to living my life, dude. That's something that we've returned to in these past 2 weeks.
We've managed to, like, settle back in.
Yeah. And, like, we're back to... how things are. I'm gonna end up taking up some college courses for this semester, and it's gonna be good. Life is gonna be normal again. And it really was not normal for like 4 months, it feels like. But by God. Yeah, PS Vita room. I don't know why I'm calling it the PS Vita room. It's just a console
look at me
room.
only for the PS Vita.
Yeah. You know, on a pedestal,
that, like,
lit up.
There's another one that, like, childhood dream fulfillment. I want to get, like, a nice modded 360. I want to have, like, a solid 360 going on. I want to be able to, like, I want one of those for sure. I want a 360. I want a PS3. Yeah. I want the fucking PSP. I want the Wii. Everything from that generation specifically. I need all that shit.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I would kill for a 360 Slim. In fact, I've thought about getting it because now they're starting to take like the third downturn where, you know, the like longitude of a console where it's like when they first come out, they're of course expensive, and then like 2 years after they're out
because they're like the like slightly old thing. Yeah, and then people get nostalgic for it in like a decade, and it comes back around to being expensive, weirdly enough. And then, like,
it's
then it plateaus back out. Yeah, it fluctuates. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And so that'll make those real achievable. Oh, the game room. Speaking of gaming and new PCs and whatnot, while we're on the subject, I want to talk about the fucking wonders of ray tracing, dude. Oh, We were
Okay.
playing some GTA 5 Enhanced last night. Now that I have an RTX card, I can really enjoy the joys of it. Because I've always been a huge proponent of, like, ray tracing's bad for the art, for this reason, that reason, and that reason. I still agree with all of that. However, the monkey brain inside me still thinks it's kind of pretty, actually, to look at. And so, like, I don't know, in cases like Grand Theft Auto 5, which is, like, meant to look as realistic as humanly possible, yeah, throw some ray tracing on that thing. But I've been having fun with it. I've been having a really good time, like, messing around with ray tracing. It's a solid technology.
Until you got your new PC and actually, like, pointed it out to me in an environment, I didn't know what ray tracing really was. I've had a ray tracing PC for, I don't know. It's the AMD version of the 30 series, so practically around the time that ray tracing started being into phase.
Right.
And I just never fucking use it because, first of all, AMD cards are fucking stupid and they suck for that. So it just couldn't run it very well. But I also just didn't see the difference until you actually told me. And it is pretty incredible. It is pretty cool.
I appreciate it in my reflections.
But
I appreciate that, like, reflections are no longer screen space reflections, and shit doesn't just disappear out of the water when it's, like, out of the top of your view. You know, that's the thing that I really like about it.
You'd mentioned the, like, stylization of, like, if you're going for realistic, it works well. We've actually been seeing more and more ray tracing in more stylized environments, and it doesn't look bad, honestly.
Yeah, but you have to, like, you have to stylize it. You have to stylize it.
Oh,
and it's just initially, we just hadn't yet seen many good examples. At the time I had made that point, like, we hadn't yet seen many good examples of, like, this game is, like, very heavily stylized, but has some pretty good looking fucking ray tracing in it. You know? But now we're getting more games that just casually have ray tracing in them, and it adds, like, Cyberpunk. I can't wait to play Cyberpunk now. Because it's like, it's got ray tracing, and it was partially designed with ray tracing in mind. That and, like, Doom Eternal and Doom the Dark Ages. I want to play those two games that way, too. Just because, again, they were designed with it in mind, and it's just, like, I can't wait to see what they've done with that, because what I've seen of it looks stunning, because it was done with it in mind, and so, like, it's not just, like, thrown onto a game from 10 years ago, which is, not the way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks okay in GTA. Like, it's cool to...
No, it looks good in GTA. GTA looks fine,
but...
because, again, they made, like, an enhanced port, and they put it on there, and they did it. It's not like the map or anything was designed with it in mind, like those other examples, but, like, again, it's a game that is going for realism. So there you go. You know?
Yeah, but I don't know, the PC space, especially in, like, hardware development and how that affects, like, gaming, is at a really good point now. We're moving away from everything needs to be super realistic to developers are actually playing around with style again. And it's just a good place to be. It's just a good place to be in general lately.
Yeah, you know what else is a good place to be about it? You know what else makes it a good place to be? It's a good place to be because my PC, this new one that I've picked up, is honestly, most people consider the parts in it to be kind of shit. And the fact that you can have something that's considered, like, kind of shit for what you're paying for it, and you can get, like, a product that's like, yeah, this is, like, a really good pre-built, but in general, these part choices are sort of ass, you know, in terms of, like, part choices. The fact that I can have a sort of shitty machine, and it still runs everything flawlessly, is amazing. I love that that's a point that we're at, where it's, like, the kind of shitty one still has so much overhead on the casual user that it doesn't really matter, you know?
Oh, yeah. You're walking a kind of shitty one, and I'm currently at, like, top of the line consumer. We load shit at the same rate. We see games in the same quality at this point. Like, every game that we've played since we both got our new PC has been the exact same for both of us.
Well, to be fair, we also play shit like Nubby's Number Game and shit on the regular that, like you don't need a fucking, like, graphics card, period, to run that.
That game fucks.
You know? Actually, no, you do because of the goddamn particles. I'm sure you're, like, seeing some differences in how the particles run. Dude, No, it's just
Something
so,
like that.
the thing about it, for me especially, is just the quirks that a machine has. So, a thing about my old PC is that anytime it would load anything, like any new asset in a game were loaded onto the screen and popped in, I would get like a little hitch, like just the most momentary of hitches. And so I have a very good understanding because of that of like how different games operate. Like weirdly,
Mhm.
like I know when shit is loading in, and I've got anticipation in for it. So that's what I'm noticing now is just like when I'm doing stunt jumps in GTA, the hitch that happens when the camera angle changes just isn't there. It's just smooth. It just works. And so
Yeah.
like I'm realizing like, man, that was a real showstopper for me, and I was just kind of like I like had adapted around it so much that I barely even fucking noticed. Like, it just didn't, like, come to mind ever. But now it's not happening, and so it's so weird. And vice versa, this computer has its own little weird quirks about, like, sometimes when you go to close an application, it'll just take a second to do that. It'll like, functionally be gone, and it won't hold me up any. It's just like, okay, just ignore the fact that when I hit the X, that window just is not gone yet. He'll go away in now. There he goes. You know? But, like, it's a lot of little hitches like that. So it's stuff to sort, but or it's stuff to like adjust to just as well. Jesus, if I could get through that sentence, adjust to just as well. But it's different stuff. So it's it's a real ride. You had any adjustments that you've had to do, Jed? Any like noticeable changes in your ability to use your computer?
In the changeover, in my ability to use my computer, I have taken the time this time because my last PC I got it as a pre-build. So whenever you or not a pre-build, sorry, I got it as a hand-me-down. And whenever you hand me down a computer, somehow, some way, there's going to be some fucking files that you can't do anything about. Like there are just sometimes going to be files in your app data folder for like the account of the person who used it previously because for some reason that didn't get wiped.
Yeah. And that's, can I interject real quick to say that is exactly, that's like genuinely 99.9% of the reason why I didn't get the refurbished version that's $50 cheaper. I spent the 50 extra bucks because I was like, nope, brand new, off the line, dude. I want this shit fresh off the assembly line, never once booted. Because I don't want to deal with that shit of just like, no, somebody like installed some shit on here that like sets itself into the goddamn root of the machine. To have fun with that, you know?
Yeah, and all your folders are a little bit weirdly organized if somebody else has been in there, and it's just a mess. But this PC, I've actually taken the time to properly organize my storage. So prior I had like 5.5 terabytes out of just like I ripped a hard drive out of a VCR. I ripped my hard drive out of my Xbox. There was one in the
just
PC. I got a couple of SSDs.
Gigabytes upon
and at this point I was like,
gigabytes, man.
In the most messy way possible too. Like it's a really cheap, easy bottom of the road. If you need extra storage, go to your local fucking like garbage shop. Ask them if they have any old Xbox Ones and pull out their WD Blue drive, dude. That's a free terabyte of hard drive. There you go.
A free terabyte of like, hard drive, he says. Like you're like yeah, go fucking like go pull me a terabyte of that hard drive off over there. Like it's a piece.
Yeah, just
like
a slice.
Break off you like a good terabyte off the side of it. There you go. Have one. There's enough to go around.
But with the new PC, I've actually taken the opportunity to I actually like consolidated the drives out of that PC. Yeah, I pulled out one of my terabyte NVMEs out of that. So now I've got 3 terabytes on an NVMe. And then I pulled out 1 terabyte solid state drive that's a SATA solid state drive. And that one's like got a bunch of random data that I want to just keep secure is on that 1 terabyte.
Right.
And then I bought a 6 terabyte hard drive that is going to be just like, yeah, this is where I put loads and loads of data of just like movies, coding projects, anything like that. Speaking of, that's something that I've been doing recently.
Oh yeah, you picked up coding recently. You want to talk about your coding adventures?
Yeah. It's hard to say I picked up coding
Now that we've
because I
naturally
picked
stumbled
up
into it. You picked up?
I picked up Python just because we've been doing a lot of like hangout nights where we have a good time, and music is a really big bonus for those nights.
Yeah, having
as is
having a
customary
Discord
for most
music bot
parties.
in is great.
Yeah, and Discord music bots are bitches. There's like not a single good one out there. It's a pain in the ass. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna make my own. And so I've been working on that. I've hit like a pretty heavy brick wall with it, where just like there's something about the Discord.py plugin that is just not cooperating. And I'm probably gonna just have to make a new project and reinitialize all of the like stuff that needed initializing at first, and then I'm just gonna copy my code into there and see if it works. But that's been really fun. It's been really fun to start coding because it started as just copying down things, and now I actually understand almost everything in that document. I could pull it apart. And that's a really great way to learn things, honestly.
No, yeah, it is.
I love it, at least.
It is. That's
It's
something
so
that like
hands-on.
I was in a similar spot with that where I picked up coding a couple months ago, if you'll remember, and I learned the basics of C#, and I still have all that. I've retained it. And C# was really fun to learn. I'm with you on that, where it's like it was just a really fun process to pick up and learn. And like I learned through like Bracky's tutorials, and like God, can that guy make a fucking coding tutorial? Jesus. But
yeah.
like it fucking like I know everything that I need to know, on like a basic level. I'd say that I have a pretty solid entry level knowledge, and I need to get back to it actually. So maybe I will. Next time a project hits me. That's what I had like settled on with it. Was like I'll come back to this when I have a project in mind. That's when I'll come back to coding.
And like honestly, I'm not surprised. So my stepdad and I are pretty similar people, and
Right.
he's a big programmer. His favorite coding language is Python. And now that I've worked with it, I'm not surprised, and it might be my favorite because Python is really fucking great for automation. Automation is so goddamn easy with that. It's awesome. Like it's like Minecraft redstone machines, but I actually get to do something and I don't feel like a loser.
Yeah, that's what coding is, man. That's like the point of coding is that you can automate with it and that like you can use it to do things. Holy shit. It's like Minecraft redstone.
I knew that was intentionally stupid. I just wanted to say it because it was funny.
No, I needed to pedal back and acknowledge that is a hell of a thing to say. But no, I'm glad that you're having fun with it. I'm glad you found like a language that you enjoy with it. But I had to say that because I was like, I either like I let this bit ride and I look like an idiot too because I'm just like nodding along to this fucking guy, or like I say something. But no, I'm glad that you've enjoyed your time coding. I'm glad you're picking that up. Good. It's always good to hear that you're doing something new. That like you've picked up a new thing. It's always good for the show too.
Yeah. It is. That's the nice thing about like doing new things in these 2 weeks is it's like, oh shit, a new blank has come out. Great. Episode 51 is gonna have so much shit.
Yeah, there'll be so much to talk about in episode 51. That'll be amazing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But speaking of new computers and new things that we're doing on our new computers, I've done this thing. That I'm calling just full data separation. Because of the rebrand and whatnot, I've chosen to, like, accidentally even, I erased a bunch of shit, including some stuff for the show that you can find out more about on our pre-show if you go watch that. But, like, I'm not gonna give that away, because there's something great there.
Yeah.
But, full data separation, where I'm going out of my way to just, like, split down the middle. I'm not carrying any of that shit with me. I'm doing the thing that everybody wants to do, of just, like, fuck it, wipe it, move on. New shit, new me, new computer. Let's go. And so that's just where I'm at, because I had the ability to do that with the rebrand and whatnot. So I was like, I don't really care. 99% of 99% of what I do is, like, uploaded, and that 1% of 1% of what I do is, like, stuff that really only existed as reference material. So it doesn't really matter, you know? Get it
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so realistically,
But
backups of all the important stuff exist, but I also get to have my freedom moment of like, oh, fuck yeah, nothing. Hell yeah. Thank goodness.
exactly, yeah.
But that does mean I
That's
leave
what
behind a lot
I
of, like, file jank, too. Like we were talking about earlier. A lot of my own file jank
yeah.
that I've been carrying for machines now. You know? Anyway.
Oh
What are you
yeah.
saying?
Yeah. That's the kind of nice thing about the move that I did because I didn't have to give my old PC to anybody. I literally just moved it and plugged it into a TV. So now it just runs Oblivion like that. If I'm not hanging out with you guys and I'm playing video games, it's probably gonna be on the TV with a controller, just because I prefer it a little bit more casually these days.
Yeah.
Um, but the nice part about that means that I didn't have to wipe any of their drives that I didn't need to. So if I ever need anything, if I ever need any old assets or anything, they're all there. And that is incredible peace of mind. um to be honest, because that would have been I'm terrified about losing things. That would have been a huge headache and a big stressor for me.
Yeah.
Um
No, yeah, that is
but
a huge stressor. Um it is like really stressful, but it's like I'm having less of a stressful time with it on just the like, oh thank God. Like there's much more relief in me about
mhm,
it than there is anything else. One thing that I did have to give up though, with all that data, not a consequence of it, but alongside it in the setup, like I said,
mhm.
gave the other PC to Basil, but you know, obviously they need a monitor. So now I'm back down to one monitor. And
Yeah.
oh boy, is it rough. To the point where I'm going to go and buy a monitor soon. Like I'm going to go stop by Goodwill
Yeah.
while we're out in a couple days. And like, all right, let's see. I just need something, some shitball 1080p monitor that can display in 60 hertz or more, you know, in a decent color spectrum.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that I need it to be able to do, because it will literally display Discord and like YouTube videos on the side while I play games. That is what that second monitor
Yeah.
will be for. I'm just really missing the utility of one now. Now that I've adjusted to it,
Yeah.
like I could
It's
eat
one
my
of those
crow a little bit
like
here and say that you were absolutely right. Two monitors is better.
like once you've become somebody who's used two monitors, it's damn near impossible to go back to one monitor because I also did that for a brief period of time while I was sick, just
Uh-huh.
because I just turned off my other monitors and just like aimed my other monitor toward my bed.
Right.
That is a bitch. It is a bitch to deal with once you've gotten used to it. So like my recommendation for anybody is if you don't want to be the guy with two monitors, don't ever get the second monitor. Because
Yeah,
you're gonna be
it's a
stuck
you
with
never
it.
go back kind of thing. Honestly, I might just like get Basil a nice monitor and then like take my
Hmm.
shitty monitor back as my second monitor, because this is like a
Yeah,
stopgap
that way
solution,
they
and
can have some.
that would probably be the better thing, the better way to do that, the smarter way to do that, I should say. But I digress. Being a one monitor man
Yeah,
is like, I feel like I'm back in the Stone Ages, dude. This sucks. This really really sucks. Can't wait.
yeah.
Can't wait to be back up and running on the two monitor setup. But for now, you know, these are the
Hmm.
sacrifices we make for all the good that we've talked about here. You know, all the bonuses we've
Yeah.
gotten from this. That this is the one downside, and I guess I can eat that. Sure, why not? You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. It's okay to eat a little bit of it because it has been mostly good, especially with like being able to hang out with Basil. It feels a little bit
Oh
less
yeah.
like we made this joke where because when we would hang out, Basil would just sit like next to ish Vox on the bed, and so we
Hmm.
could kind of see them okay on the camera, and we could kind of hear them okay through the mic. But we made this joke that they were like a second class Discord user, and it's a really good thing that we don't have to worry about that anymore. Um, it feels less bad for my friend. But yeah, that's our new setup changes. I don't have anything else to talk about it really. Other than
Yeah,
it's
no.
exciting.
We've
Y-
pretty much covered it now. Now we can get into the changes to content, I think, is where we go next.
Mhm.
I think we should talk about how content will be changing going forward with all of this stuff. Because we talked about how the show will change. But my personal content plan right now is, all right, hold on to your hat for this. There is no plan. There is no plan. I'm just going to slob my way through it. That's what I'm calling it, by the way. I'm calling it my slob era. I hope you like it. I'm just gonna make content when I want, where I want, how I want, and I'm just gonna, like, put shit out. We're gonna do a lot more streams. It'll be conducive to more stuff being made, is the hope. It's not just, like, a laziness thing. It genuinely is, like, I'm hoping this will keep me on track, and eventually I'll settle back into, like, a schedule and whatnot. This is just, like, a get back into it measure. How long is this temporary measure?
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's the era I'm in with it, where it's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna make what I make how I make it, you know, and that's just how it's gonna be. And that'll have to be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy with that. I'm actually really stoked, fucking unsurprisingly. I'm very stoked about the changeover to doing that instead. So that'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about it because we've also had some other conversations about little, like, content ideas that we've had, and it's nice to actually get those a little bit further into motion. I don't know if you want to talk about those. I'll let you carry the lead on that. But, like, I personally am excited to get back to streaming as well, which is actually surprising because while I was streaming, I was kind of like, yeah, this is fine. I'm having a good enough time about it.
Right.
But, distance makes the heart grow fonder or whatever the fuck. And apparently that works for Twitch. So, that's pretty cool. Out. But yeah.
Yeah, I really miss doing streams and shit. I really miss it. And like, there will be some content changes. I'm really not sure. I don't want to talk about it too much just because I'm really not sure what those content changes will be. Because I came out guns blazing like a few weeks back where I was like, yeah, the rebrand is upon us. The Minecraft content's going. And like, I'm done with that. I'm moving on. And it's like, I don't know if I am, really. I don't know. I'm having more ideas is the thing. I'm having more ideas about what I want to do and how I want to do it with the Minecraft content. And on top of that, I've been invited to, like, a project that I can't really talk about. But I, like, that along with a few other things got the gears turning on like, well, what can I do with this block game? You know, what else is there for me there? And I've found in my own head that there's enough there to, like, have it be a thing worth exploring still. So I still want to do that. But I still want to branch out. I want to keep going. We've had this sort of Game Grumps-esque idea where we want to, like, have, like, a multi-commentary on, like, a single-player thing going on. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so we don't know what game we're doing. We don't know when. We don't know how. But we want that to sort of happen, like a fucking commentary gallery in on the stream. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I'm
we've
really
just got
excited for that content.
You're really excited for that content?
That idea stemmed, of course, from, like, the idea around Game Grumps, of course, but, like, we just ended up hanging out, and I think we played some sort of game where I think it was just you playing it, and we were just shooting the shit over it. Oh, it was GTA. You were playing the GTA Vice City remaster.
The Vice City Definitive
and we were just
kind of... Yeah, and we were just shitting over it.
Yeah. We were shooting the shit over it, and I was like, this is fun. This is like an enjoyable thing. And I totally see why the Game Grumps did it. And it got me interested in doing it for us. And so yeah, I expect possibly that maybe.
Possibly that maybe. Yeah, no, I fully expect to be doing a stream like that at some point. I've got some stream ideas and stuff. This is a hard subject to talk about because it's like, man, yeah, you've said you have ideas. What ideas? And it's like, I can't get into that because that'd spoil the idea.
Yeah.
You know, that would spoil the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I can get a lot of that nailed in pretty soon and locked down as, like, yes, this is how we're doing it. This is what we're doing. This is what we're calling it. Have at, you know, enjoy, audience. And so I'm hoping that's where we'll be with it come next week when we come back to this show, is that we'll know what's up and we'll know what's going on exactly. But we have a vague idea. That's beyond this show. We have a vague idea. For this show, the ship is very well steered and pointed in a good direction. Everything else is going to be built up around it, is kind of the hope, for me at least, of, like, where it's not really related, but, like, on the back of regaining this routine of fight about it, I want to start reestablishing things. And so, like, that's where I'm hoping we can go with that. Is just getting back to making the content, and within a week or two, we'll be like spun back up to, like, a reasonable level.
Yeah. Yeah. But content-wise, that's all I have to say, but I
Yeah.
do think there have been a lot of other changes outside of the show and us as people that have happened in the last 2 weeks that have been pretty fucking cool. Um well, I don't know, where do you want to start with that? Cuz we had Doctor Who wrap. We
Oh
had
man.
some WWE stuff happen.
I
Oh
like that you
man.
started with like personal changes and then immediately like, dude, that is the saddest shit in the world that you just did. Like, yeah, we went through a lot of personal
Is it?
growth, like this season of Doctor Who and this other like piece of media and this other piece of media, and it's like, dude,
Oh
you
no, no,
watched
no, no.
3 shows. What do you mean you had personal growth happen? Because we did also.
I wasn't
like,
trying to
both of
say
those things are
personal
true.
growth.
Like, both of those things are true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much to say about Doctor Who that hasn't already been said. I genuinely like
Oh yeah.
because of the way this season went, I have genuinely fuck all to say about it. Because like my
Yeah.
opinion is out there. I think I tweeted about it. If I didn't, I will tweet about it at some point. I need a gap time. Like genuinely, I scroll past every piece of Doctor Who content I see instantly, no matter what it is. I just need to not hear about how my favorite thing in the world is shitty right now. And it like the world is like damn
Yeah.
near determined to fill me in on that. And it's like, no, I know. I watched the finale. I saw it. Yeah. Yeah, that's my sci-fi franchise. It sure is. Yeah. And so like
Yeah,
just like
that's the
being
problem with the
like
internet.
number one fan of this thing means just like, okay, now I just have to eat. Like when it's shit, and I have to eat that it's shit. And the internet is going to just be mean about it, like almost unnecessarily so, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Especially because, like, I don't know. For me, I don't see the season as like the worst thing ever. It's not great, but it's not bad enough for everybody on Twitter to be like fucking hang Russell T Davies. But yeah.
Well, I mean, people on
I
Twitter
just
can have
meant
their own opinions. They can have whatever opinion they want. That doesn't really affect me. It's just like it's shit. I know it's shit. I want to put it out of my mind, and yet I keep getting posts about how shit it is, and it's like, dude, leave me the hell alone. I don't know when the algorithm will get that this thing that I've been like consistently interested in for several years, I'm suddenly not interested in anymore. I don't know when they'll get that. Not to say I'm not a Doctor Who fan anymore. That is well outside the realm of possibility of ever happening. But like this certainly has made me want to step back from that fandom for a minute. You know?
Yeah. Take a breather. Yeah, no, I had just brought up Doctor Who just because that is something that finished in these 2 weeks, and along with that, we had the first Saturday night event since
Saturday
the
night main
80s
event
with WWE.
I don't think it was the
Yeah.
first one since the 80s. It was the first one in a while, apparently. It was the first one in a while, apparently. I don't know how they bamboozled me. Because when they announced that, for some reason I got my dates, like, bamboozled. And, they got me thinking that Money in the Bank was that Saturday. And so we tuned into Saturday night's main event, and we were hanging out, we were watching that anyway. And then they did another one this week that we didn't tune into, because the last one was all ads. But
Yeah.
I also thought Money in the
Yeah,
Bank
that
was
was-
like, okay, wait, so Money in the Bank is next Saturday? And then, like, the next Saturday came, and it was another Saturday night main event and not fucking Money in the Bank. And I was like, holy shit, am I in Groundhog's Day? And so I eventually got it through my thick fucking skull,
Goddamn.
and it's like, no, it's Saturday. The thing is on Saturday, dude. You know?
Yeah.
It just took some real doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that first Saturday night event that we saw. Saturday night main event. That was a fucking ad fest. That was a mess to watch live. But it was a fine event. Cody Rhodes is back, and that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Cody Rhodes came back and kicked the shit out of John Cena. Right. And Jey Uso got Logan Paul. Yeah. They got Logan Paul pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to see what is probably R-Truth's final fight.
Right,
which is
they let
sad,
R-Truth go. Right, yeah. If we could have our wrestling corner here for a minute. Fucking, like, again, I don't have anything to say that everybody's not already saying about the R-Truth thing and the Carlito thing of just like, man, these are long-standing actors for the WWE, long-standing performers. You know, not just actors, but performers, because, you know, the fucking big physical element to it. But, like, these are long-standing guys who have been with the company a long time, and, like, they're being booted for nothing other than, we just don't want to pay your paycheck anymore. See ya. You know?
Yeah.
Which is insane.
We've just deemed that your paycheck is the most, like, easily gained money for us.
It's just the best place to cut cost is to get rid of, like, 2 fan-favorite characters. Which is insane to me, which is absolutely wild to me. But otherwise, I don't really like the decisions that the WWE is making. I don't really like where we're at, as a company right now. But like, I'm hoping it'll pick back up. I'm hoping it'll be okay, because I don't know if I have the strength and wherewithal to, like, learn all the AEW guys and move over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Joe Hendry isn't over there anymore, is he? Didn't he get picked up by the WWE after
He wasn't in AEW either way. He was in TNA.
Oh, well. Right, yeah. I don't know anything about wrestling.
Dude.
Vox is big into wrestling, and I am big
and I'm not
into,
even big
like,
into it, dude. I'm
WWE.
I just, like, know some things about some things. Like, I got way too hyper-focused on it, you know? For a minute, and, like, watched a bunch of documentaries and shit, and now I know things about things. But, you know, I mean, I also watched wrestling when I was a kid, but not, like, to an insane degree like everybody else in, like, that era for some reason. Like, every kid I knew had, like, the John Cena t-shirt, which is insane.
Or like, a fucking poster, or I had a friend who had, like, a belt up on a wall, and I knew nothing about it, so it was just crazy to have, like, actually multiple friends had that as a kid.
Yeah, that's like a big, like, trailer trash decorative item. Is like, I'm gonna put up a fucking championship belt right there, you know?
Yeah, right there. I don't know, it's a little less, like, trailer trash when it's, like, a 6-year-old.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
but still, it's a staple. Man. It's a staple of the childhood bedroom.
It is. And yeah, I agree with you. I'm hoping WWE comes back on track, because I was actually having a really good time with it. Yeah, I slurred the shit out of my words there.
I don't know how you managed that. You just pitched down for a second.
Yeah, I was doing something in repo just then, and I, you know, passed through my audio that way.
Your head down and fucking, you know.
Yeah. That game's fun. That game has somehow survived. You've been
coming back around on Repo recently. I think it's just because we've got a mod pack we're happier with, and so you're, like, a little more able to play the video game. Which is, I need to go and edit our mod pack. I need to update our mod pack again to have more shit in it that works. You know?
I'll be honest, it doesn't have anything actually to do with the gameplay. The reason that I've been enjoying it a little bit more was because I thought we were kind of cruising out of repo at some point. So my brain was already cruising out of repo, and then I was out of my repo phase while you guys were still firmly there. And then I got to the point where I was just playing it to play with you guys, and it moved from a game that I enjoy playing to a game that I enjoy playing with my friend. Just about. So it's less of like
you embrace the funny fuck-abouts of it a good bit more. Yeah, like that time last night where you just like dropped the cart directly off a fucking cliff into like a bottomless pit.
Yeah. That was a special moment for me.
A special moment for you. A special moment that we have a clip of that I'm not gonna play on the show, but we do have a clip of. I'm not gonna play it because it would be too much goddamn effort to pull it. And this is an auditory show as well. We gotta keep it clean for the audio listeners as well, so they can have just as much fun, is the answer I'm going with, so that I can avoid just saying that I'm lazy and don't want to do
it. Yeah. Oh man. What a good time Repo is now though. Like it finally has passed that check that Lethal Company just failed, which is, hey, has development fucking continued? Is there a playable branch that is different for more than 3 months at a time when it first came out?
To the point where they're like releasing like apology, and technically they haven't done their first update yet. They're just more a finger on the button about the betas, because they're weirdly aware that like, yeah, no, we're sorry, we haven't gotten a first update out yet. We know how important that is for like keeping this game alive and play like keeping you wanting to play this game. We're sorry we haven't put new content in it, considering that's like kind of the thing that keeps these games alive, is having new cool shit to see once in a while. Like they've released like 4 of those videos onto YouTube, and it's like, no, dude, it's fine. Just make the update. Just finish making the update.
Yeah.
We don't care. It's all right. I appreciate the update, but like it's fine, dude. Just make the game.
They're much more bulk people with how they work too, which I think was the biggest issue with
There's a lot more
Company, is when we did finally get the update.
And you got to think also this is a team and not a guy, so like that is a boon as well. Like this is no like down shot at Lethal Company or Zeekers. This is just like a comment on their difference in update strategies more than anything else. Anyway, you were saying about like they are more substantive. They have more substance.
Yeah, because like Lethal Company, I found that whenever we would get an update, it was like, yeah, there's a couple of new monsters, that's pretty cool, but the odds that you see them are pretty low. When like the beta branches, almost every time we play on a beta branch, it's like, oh, that's a new item in the shop or something like that. They're very much more noticeable, and that's really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy about it, because those games were, I thought they were going to be like a very 2020 fad, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna move out of that whole era, and then they're
like,
just gonna go away with it.
Remember like Lethal Company clone games? You know, like that's just gonna get roped into that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, they're surviving. They seem to be surviving well as like a 2020s as a whole fad. Like I don't think they'll last out of the decade.
Yeah.
Like as like a permanent genre in gaming. I think that like we'll get one of these. Eventually one of these, maybe it'll be Repo even, because Repo seems to be like the best one, like to my eye at least, and to my gaming hands, you know. But like it seems like it's the best one, and like I feel like one of these is going to succeed really hard and keep getting updates, and it's just going to become the one that people come back to. And then like that will just be how it is, and it's like the genre will live on through one victor, you know. That's the thought.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's going to be Repo right now.
Fizzling out. Yeah, if it were to start fizzling out right the fuck now, it would definitely be Repo. And it deserves it. It deserves it entirely.
Yeah, but who knows? Something better may come along. There's always the chance of like a better game down the line. Speaking of things that come out on down the line, dude, so I had this weird thing happen to me last night. Or yesterday, last night, where I was at my desk and I was like, I wonder when book 12 of that like book series that I like will come out. Let me Google that and see if there's like any news. Book 12 came out on the 20th of last month. I just happened to miss the announcement for it when it got announced. Like,
goddamn.
It got announced. This one got announced weirdly close to its release, and I just missed it at the start of the year with everything else happening. Like, I just missed that announcement, so I didn't have to do the 4 or 5 months of, like, well, that book is coming. Here it comes, you know? And I just I got to skip straight to there's a new one out right now, go ahead. And so that was fantastic.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience to that today, I was like, I was sitting out, and then I was like, I'm going to put on some music and just kind of hang out for a little bit, because I like to try to sit outside for a little bit, get some light into my eyes.
Yeah, no, it's a good time sitting outside.
I go to Spotify and I'm like, what do I want to listen to? I kind of want to just vibe, and then I'm scrolling through like my recently listened to, and I see new from Worthy Kids, who's the guy who makes Big Top Burger, and it's an album cover that looks like his Big Top Burger album covers, and I'm like, that's a new song. Maybe that's just how he's doing album covers now. And then I went over to YouTube. There's a new episode out. It's been out for a week. I've just completely dodged it, I guess. But I've got more content to look at, so that's pretty exciting after the show.
New content.
5 minutes of Big Top Burger.
5 whole minutes of Big Top Burger. I think Big Top Burger is pretty good. I think Big Top Burger is pretty good, but it's one of those things where, like, if somebody utters the phrase, "Have you seen Big Top Burger?" and you say anything other than "Yes, I've seen it before, please don't show it to me," you're gonna get locked into watching at least one full episode of Big Top Burger. And it's like, Big Top Burger is funny.
Yeah.
Big Top Burger is not funny enough to, I don't feel like watching this right now. I'm being made to watch this right now. Like, it's not that kind of funny. And so, like, my taste buds have just forever been sullied on that, on the basis of, like, one too many people have, like, done the awkward hold a phone up at me with fucking Big Top Burger playing on it for me to, like, want to even try at this point, you know? Like, it's just been so soured.
Yeah. Oh, man. Speaking of internet web series that we've been watching, or that we have seen in the past, oh, man. We've been doing a loop around for me specifically, because this is one of the few internet things that I was just too young for. Most of the time I looped back on a lot of those, like, this is an internet icon. I never did it for Red vs. Blue, and Vox and Basil have, like, strapped me down, and it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, no, Red vs. Blue is one of my favorite internet web series. It was like one of the original internet web series. It was the original, machinima for that, like, format of content of, like, telling a story in a game by basically just playing dolls and using a different player as, like, a camera player, you know? Like, that just was not a genre that existed pre-Red vs. Blue. I mean, I'm sure it's a thing that people were doing in private, but, like, it's not something that, like, was happening on any scale, you know? And so, like, and beyond its, like, cultural impact, it's just, like, that's what led me to Red vs. Blue initially, was, like, getting into machinimas when I was a kid and being very swiftly pointed toward, go watch this one. And, go watch this one that, like, inspired this whole genre of thing. And it was pretty formulaic, or it was not formulaic, formative is the word I'm looking for. It was not formulaic. That means, like, something very different. But it was very formative for me, and a lot of my edgier humor that I had back in the day. And I've dropped a lot of it since. And it's not like they're dropping, like, slurs and shit in this show, but it's just like I just don't curse that often anymore. I just don't swear as often as I used to, and that was a lot of where that influence was, and now it's not there anymore. But long story short, Red vs. Blue is one of my favorites, and so we've just finally managed to, like, strap Jed down and force him to watch it with us, and I'm safe to say I'm still having a good time with it. Coming back to it, like, years since I last saw it. Good time, good shit. We're up on, like, season 5 now, I believe, something like that. We're getting there.
We will be starting season 5. We just finished season 4.
We will be.
And it's weird how much of the show that I knew in season 4, I had, like, when we watched season 1 through 3, I was pretty much like, this is entirely new. I've never seen this at all before. And then we hit season 4, and I got, like, brain blasted by the fact that my sister used to watch this show with headphones. So I would watch it with subtitles. And that's why I know, like, visually know the show. Because, like, specifically just the Red vs. Blue episode X that shows up in the bottom left corner that starts in season 4, that is nostalgic as shit for me now. Which is pretty funny. But overall, like, the show as a show outside of, like, cultural relevance is, it's good. It's not as edgy as I thought it would be. It's decently edgy, but, like, it's definitely not the worst thing you could be watching from that era. Like, it was tame for the time, it seems.
Can we come around?
It's made it we can come around.
Can we come around? Because you were talking about, like, I was sitting outside, as I like to do, and we kind of skirted past that. I wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget. Dude, we were just talking about how sitting down outside is nice. We've been talking a lot in private, dear viewer, and we would have been on the show had the show happened in the last 2 weeks, so welcome back to us. We'll catch you up, don't worry. We've been talking a lot about how, like, man, we're getting some old man tendencies real young. And, like, that is such an old man tendency of just, like, I make an effort to, like, spend a part of my day sitting on my front porch, you know, just outside, chilling. Yeah. And, like,
get
that's
some light
crazy.
In your eyes. It's good for you.
Yeah, no, it's good. I being outside is good for you. Yeah. But no,
I
we've been
woke
getting
up
real old.
11:40 2 days ago, and I felt disgusted by how late I slept in.
11:40 was
um,
disgustingly late to you? Yeah, no, I got that about 3
yeah,
o'clock the other day. Which is, I guess, a more
yeah,
reasonable time to get that. 'Cause I've been waking up at, like, no later
it's
than 1 p.m. these days, which is great for me. I love that. It's a good amount of sunlight. Especially with the summer days
yeah,
coming in, where they're gonna be a lot longer, and, like, the sun is not down. Dude, the sun is not down till, like, 10 p.m. again. It's back. Just the thing you
that's
hated has
crazy.
returned.
Yeah, I think I talked about it on the show about how
You
fucking
did talk
weird
about
it
that on the
is,
show, yeah, but we
just
can go back
because
to it for a
like
minute.
I don't know, Arizona is just particular, I guess.
Mhm.
Sun sets at most 8:30. Like at the latest. um and even that's a pretty late time for it to be light out still. But between that and like I had sent you a photo of just something in the middle of a day, and you looked at the clouds and you were like, Jesus, your clouds look so much different than ours, just because ours is like, 2,000 feet closer.
Yeah.
uh and it is really, really cryptic to me that 10 at night. 10 at night is like firmly bedtime. Why the fuck is the sun still out?
Well, the
I
sun's going
I don't
down.
know.
It's setting actively. It's just not set yet. He's just not settled in just yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But oh
But no,
man.
yeah, what a crazy difference.
I
What a crazy difference. I have just about run my entire topics list, full disclosure. So, if you want to take us
oh,
somewhere, I'm handing you the reins for transitions from this point forward. Take us, Jed. Where are we headed?
sure. Yeah, I mean, I have been doing a lot of Oblivion. I talked about this a little bit in the last episode before we ended it.
Yeah, but now you're
Um
healthy, and you can reflect on your
yeah.
like Oblivion time and your current Oblivion time, I guess too. With a little more of a
Yeah.
healthy mind about it. Let's hear
Oblivion
about that. Go for
is
it.
a really great game. I broke my playing up into 3 different sessions, and
Uh
this is
huh.
kind of how I wanted to play the game. So the first time around, I played a stealth Khajiit character where I had went through and then I played up until the Blood of a Daedra quest, which is literally
Mm-hmm.
just go get a Daedric artifact and come back. And I normally take that as my, okay, I'm going to go do side quests now. So I finished that, and then I went over to the Thieves Guild, and I did all the Thieves Guild quests, and then I moved to the arena, did all the arena quests, and then got
Right.
contacted by the Dark Brotherhood, um, because you're killing people in the arena,
Of course, of course.
and did my Dark Brotherhood quests, and then I ended that. Once I finished the game, I was like, okay, that's my character, that's my stealth character. I did all the ones that are the most fun with stealth characters, and then I moved on. And then I went
Right,
to a
right.
mage, and I did a spellcaster, and that was really fun. I got to live in like the wizard tower that they have in the stealth playthrough. I got to live in their like vampire cave that they
Right.
have.
You try to
You
do
get like
like
one
very
for each.
themed playthroughs, very like see
Yeah,
as much of the game as you can in 3 distinct playthroughs. Is that it? Like that's what
exactly,
I'm gathering here.
exactly. Um, and I ended up just skipping the main like story for a while and just did all the
Hmm.
Mages Guild stuff, and then did the main story and then called it. And then on my
Right.
final character, I was like, okay, I want to do all of them. I want to get all the achievements. I want to get all of the artifacts, all of the everything. And then I finished quests, which I didn't know would also lock you out from certain artifacts. So I'm now on like my third 100% strength character, and I kind of have lost steam for it. I did the Fighters
Ah, you've
Guild
run
with
it
that
into the
character.
ground.
I've done all of the, Mages Guild, Fighters Guild, all of the little subsects in Cyrodiil, and
Hmm.
I think I'm done now. I think I've had my fill.
You've had your fill.
So, yeah, I think it's about time I switch over to Skyrim or something.
Yeah,
But
is that
it
what you're
has been
thinking?
really
Is that
nice to
you'll move
have
to
a game.
Skyrim next, and you'll just do Skyrim?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Like, man, maybe I am my dad's kid, because that's how my dad would play video games. He explicitly like would only play Skyrim, and he'd level his character to like bumfuck crazy and just like have that, and he's like, yeah, I just play, an hour every night or so, and it helps me unwind after work. And now I'm doing like the exact same shit. Like
Yeah.
I don't like, that is what I mean by I'm getting like an old man. I don't want to be sitting at my desk all the time. Like if I'm not hanging out with my friends that is at my desk, I'm probably not going to be sitting at my PC. Like I'll either be playing on the quote unquote console that I have now, or just doing something else. And it's been really good for my mental, my well-being.
Yeah,
'Cause
change
it's
of
really
scenery.
allowed me to appreciate.
Change of scenery is real good. That's what I've been doing too. I've been doing a lot more, like, because we're not like chained down for content making stuff, and I guess I kind of am rechaining myself a little bit. I've had a lot more time to just be out and about more, and good lord, is that such a help to like the mental. Like you're absolutely right. That helps so goddamn much, just to like not even to like be out of the house, but just be in a different room in the house even. Like even that can be great. For like, just let me just step in here for like an hour or two. If I'm gonna be on my phone anyway, let me go like be on my phone somewhere else, And like even beyond that, like just a trip to the grocery store. I've started, instead of doing like, because I mentioned it on the show before, that like trips to the grocery store are like the only time I really go out, because we don't got that much money to be like out and about all the time, so we can't just drive out just to have a day out. So what I've started doing to get around that is I've started like ordering the groceries so that we can just go and we can walk around stores and like shop for a while and have a nice day out, and then go swing by, grab our groceries real quick, and then go home. And we don't have to like be exhausted in the grocery store to do it. And it's ordering groceries is the way to go.
It's so worth it.
It's such
I know,
a
man. I've been trying to convince you. It is.
I could have gone for it. It's just genuinely the Kroger app is such a bitch to navigate. It's genuinely just an awful fucking thing to get through to order the groceries. So I have my husband do it, and I just dictate to him back and forth. Like, I'm the guy who sits there and like helps decide what we're getting. And so that's much more equitable to me to be able to just do that. And gosh, it's great. Did you know they give you like $20 off every time? I didn't know that. I thought it was just the first time. Every single fucking time.
The payment that it costs to take it out to your car, as long as you're getting more than $100 worth of groceries, most apps will just do that for free.
Like, it's over $75 and it's free, and we always buy $100 worth of groceries. That is our mark, is like,
because
we spend about $100 because it's groceries, so you're gonna need a lot of it anyway. So we spend in bulk. We just bulk buy 3 times a month, and then just spend $300-400 feeding ourselves. And that works.
It's also helpful because it cuts down on like the, oh shit, is that Swedish fish Pop-Tarts? I want to try that. It cuts down on those little expenditures that you get from walking around stores.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty good about that, but like, it is genuinely really helpful. I do kind of miss walking around the grocery store though, but I love more that I get to walk around the rest of my town instead, and then go get groceries real quick. It's so much more of a boon.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying?
You get to actually look about and have a time. No, that was just about it. Of just like
right. We're
cutting down on
being at our desk.
Groceries.
In general, that's where we're at.
And cutting down at being at our desk. Yeah. Oh man, I really want to get back to where I was at a little bit pre the sickness, because there was a period where the moving was just stressful enough that it was perfect. Every day I would wake up 9 a.m., get some work done for like 6 hours a day, and then I'd sit down and then I'd take care of something at my desk. And it was very productive days, and I actually felt pretty good physically, just because like my favorite exercise is literally just getting up and doing shit. So like getting shit done, it just made me feel better, and I really want to get back into that cycle. But man, I'm a creature of habit, and that includes the habit of sitting around all the time. So I need to get away from that and back into a more healthy lifestyle. But other than that, I've got some health updates, I guess.
Oh, you've got some health
Um,
updates. Let's not get too in the weeds of health stuff. But we can talk about your health updates. Let's talk about it because it's all good news
oh
this
yeah,
time, pretty much.
yeah. That's actually the nice thing. Um, I am out of the like first phase of Hashimoto's, which I'm pretty sure is what's going on. My doctors are pretty sure. I just need to get the blood work, um, like that and everything. So that's good. My doctor put me on heart medication again, so my blood pressure and heart rate is down within like still high, but
Mm-hmm.
much more normal levels,
Which
which
is
is really
great.
nice. My cardiologist didn't want to do that, but he was stupid, I guess. Um,
He's a doofus.
and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling actually really good for the like one of the first times in my life where I'm able to walk around and then I put my hand on my throat and I can't feel my blood like pumping out of my fucking throat. Um that's
That's good
really
news.
really nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really
Uh
have much else to add other than that is good news, but
yeah.
I'm glad that you're in a
Like
little
that's all
bit
there
better
is.
shape. I'm glad. Speaking of, I need to like I'm starting to have adult urges like holy fuck, I need to get like a primary care physician locked down. I need to like
Yeah.
I need to like start getting that like external like system that everybody else seems to have. I need to get with an insurance company. I need to get with like doctors. I need to get with like whoever else. I don't know, man. Like there's just like every now and again it strikes me of just like, oh right, adults have that. I should have that. Wait, yeah, I really should have that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know, it is like and like lately it's just been like it's been doctors. It's been that. Because I'm just realizing
Yeah.
that like
Doctors having
I haven't had like a general
Mhm.
like general like check in like a while. And so it's like there could be all sorts of shit happening that I just have no idea about right now. And that's like such a skeezy place to be because again, and it's like it seems like such like a hypochondriac thing to say, but like genuinely I haven't had a doctor look at me in any sort of way other than like that trip to the dentist since I was like 15. So like it's probably about goddamn time.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. Um, I don't know. I didn't. I wanted to set that up, but then the move started happening, so I just like
The
completely
move,
cranked
yeah.
that back. And it is nice to be back in that cycle though, and like seeing my doctor again. And he doesn't seem to be too upset about the fact that I didn't see him very often. Oh, yeah. On top of the heart medication, I do have moderate sleep apnea. Um, so I will be getting a machine for that. So that's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
that's relatively quick and dirty though. But yeah, that's just been my health update. The health
That's
update
been the
is
Jed's
I'm
health
doing well.
corner. He's doing all right. He's doing
Yeah,
better than usual, in fact, and will continue doing better than usual into the future, we hope.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty
Exactly.
much back to top form. Um,
Tip top shape.
but yeah. Oh man, we are in year 2 of Vox and Jed fight about it, and we've talked about what that means for the show. But for like us personally, it really struck me in those 2 weeks because the first of those 2 weeks was the first exactly a year away from the first time that we recorded the show. And where we're at now as people is just a better place. Like
Yeah.
it is. I've never had a year's worth of content now because I really do have a year's worth of content now under my belt. Um, I didn't know that that would entail like having just a record of everything you've done and being able to click on the first episode and see the distance between how you were then and how you are now is a really unique thing that you don't get outside of content. um with the exception of like home videos if you're really
Well,
into
no, but
that,
like
but like actually
that's
having
like
like a
the
weekly
bonus.
log.
That's like the
Yeah.
upshot of this is like you see how you've improved pretty immediately. Like it is like
Yeah.
it's such like a recorded like the point is that you're recording yourself doing the thing. And so over time when you do that thing, excuse me, when you do that thing you'll have that original recording of you recording yourself doing the thing the first time, because that was the point. And so, like, unlike even something like a painting, where it's like, the point is that it's a finished art that you look at, you don't get to watch yourself paint that again. You don't get to physically see the technique differences in how you painted it then and how you would paint it now in the wrist movements themselves, in the same way that you do for, like, something like this that, like, forces you to inject a lot more of you right now into it. You know, not that, like, other art forms like painting aren't that necessarily, they are, but, like, content creation gives you such, like, a unique window into the version of you that made that, you know? I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right too. And I think I've talked about this anecdote in the past, but the first stream that I was ever on Twitch was with you for a Power Wash game. And I remember we ended up tracking that VOD down and we watched it. And it was during an era where I was just like a severely depressed teenager. And my voice was just, it was flat, it was monotone, it was quiet. And now I've got so much like to it, and that's my voice now. And it's actually nice to see that making content has actually made me as a person just a more like boisterous and more confident person in how I speak. So it has been nice to like see that difference, because I've been thinking about that a lot. Just because I've been thinking about how much I appreciate a lot of stuff. That's kind of what I've been doing. When you get real sick, you get real appreciative.
You start to reassess.
It's been a nice change of pace. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to go off about that, about my personal year with Fight About It and moreover content as a whole. But I'm trying to think about what other things have been going on in the past 2 weeks, because it has been pretty eventful.
Well, hold on, because I do have things to add. You got to give your fucking co-host room to breathe and things to add here.
I'm sorry.
You just said your piece and then moved right the fuck along. But what was I saying? Oh, right. Yeah, no, we talk a lot about how we've made the content better. We, like, don't stop. That's an interesting point. We don't really stop often to acknowledge how the content has made us better, too. In that, like, over the course of us doing this, we've gotten better at doing this, obviously, but we've become better versions of ourselves partially through this. Again, like you said, with, like, your speaking cadence and, like, your ability to, like, carry yourself more. And, like, for me, I've had like a lot more like social outreach and a lot more like public interaction, and that's been very good for me via this, you know. And so like we've both like been like booned by not only content but specifically this show in weird ways that are hard to get into on the show, you know, that would require like weird amounts of thought to like even organize the story to explain how. You know, it's just such like subtle things. But anyway, in fact,
I think our friendship has, not in like a very noticeable way, but our friendship has severely changed because of this show. And it's moved from like just like we're close friends to more of like a unit thing that we've got going on. We're much more of a duo when we go into things, and it's very helpful for our content reasons. Because it's like we've established who we are, you and I, as a duo, and that means that we can go into things with that pre-established. We don't ever have to be concerned about that, like, what is the dynamic that we want for this thing? Fuck it, it's us. We're doing what we do. And the fact that we were able to make our brand literally just us, and we get to just fuck around and be ourselves for multiple hours a day is really fucking awesome. It is a very unique experience that we've gotten to have by making content. And I'm just thrilled. Is just all I'm going to say. I'm happy with where Fight About It is at.
We've had a lot of these sappy little moments. We've had a lot of these sappy little moments lately, so I almost feel bad having another one now. But, like, I just had to stop and point out, it's like, that's the one angle we haven't gotten sappy about the show from. And so, like, that would be the one to cover here, I suppose. But that's a good note to open year 2 on, I think, is that, like, we are well, and the show is well. And that's just swell. So where to next then, Jed?
Yeah,
What's the next topic you have for us? Unless you have like a closer to throw onto that. It sounded like that's where you were headed.
No. I was going to close it, but you said a closer that was better than what I could have said. So we'll just
Okay.
leave it at
Well,
that.
next topic then. What do you got? What do you got lined up?
Yeah, recently we played a game called Guilty as Suck.
Oh, we played Guilty as Suck.
It was fine. It really needs more rails, honestly. We aren't fucking lawyers and we aren't judges and we don't know how that worked. So we just kind of sat there and fiddled around until we went, okay, none of us are having fun. Let's get out of here.
Well, everyone else seemed to be having a good or having a bad time. I was actually having quite a bit of fun figuring it out. I think we did quite a good job figuring it out. But like I just think you know what I think? I think you guys are just too chicken. I think you're just too chicken to commit to the bit.
Like, I'd commit in a bigger setting.
Yeah, we just didn't have enough. That's what I'm saying. Is like
also...
that's just what was like bad about it. Was like we didn't have enough people under the right scenario.
Yeah, because like it said
we had 4 people to make that
players.
Work. But you really want closer to 6 than 3.
Yeah, just because like having the jury there keeps it from the judge just being like, yeah, whatever, that one wins, I guess, sure. Because it goes from like, all right, the judge has just pronounced me guilty because they decided it to, no, a group of my peers have decided it, and I guess that's what court is for. But I genuinely think they should just bump the player count if that's how it's going to be. Just because it didn't really feel playable. I don't know. I did have a really good time with it.
I think you just like I think it's just funny fuckabouts in a courtroom, and I think that's all it is, and I think that's all it was, and I just think that like
exactly. Yeah.
I don't think that you're like I don't think you're the target audience for that, and that's fine. Like I could be. Yeah. I'm not saying I can't be. Like that's the thing is like I'm the only one here who hasn't just written this off as like, yeah, this just isn't for me. But like I just hadn't. I don't know. It's just not for the group, and that's fine. I don't have a bad word to say about it.
Not
frankly.
To say
I think it's fine.
Yeah, not to say that it was bad, because I did actually really enjoy the mechanics of it. And I think that's what we had settled upon is like, if we had a better understanding or the better circumstances, this would be a really good game. But it is definitely worth it. If you're interested in that sort of thing with your friends. But
yeah.
Oh man.
It's worthwhile. It's worthwhile.
About other games. Because we had a lot of games that we didn't get to talk about that we started playing during that topic, 10 weeks of topics. Because, like, that is 10 weeks worth of games that all just got, like, in the shitter. Did we ever talk about Schedule 1?
I don't think we talked about it super in depth, but the thing is, we're so divorced from all of that now, Jed, that, like, I don't know how much of that I can talk about. I don't know how much of that shit I'll have anything to say about, is the problem.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. That's what's so unfortunate about those 10 weeks is because like there were a lot of little things that we just got to miss out on and we can't really ever go back to. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any media topics? I know you said you were out of topics.
I'm out of topics. I am literally out of topics. I have nothing. I have zero. There is nothing on this I've said everything. Where do you think the first hour and 37 minutes of this show came from?
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Do I have any
topics are starting to drain. I'm trying to figure something out here. But
well, I guess something we could talk about. In the meantime is the Switch 2 came out. The Switch 2 came out.
Oh yeah.
We could talk a little bit about that in this topic crisis we're having. Design-wise, people had a lot of trouble with the Switch 2 when it got announced. Design-wise, I think it's fine. I think I don't see any design flaw with it. However, there is it came out, right? And I was real bummed when it did, because I was like, "Oh man, I just had to buy a new gaming PC. I can't afford to buy a new console too on top of that. This is going to suck that I have to miss out on like the new Nintendo console. I have to not buy it day one. That stinks, because when I was a kid, that's like the thing is like you tell yourself like, yeah, one day I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it at midnight. like at release. It's gonna be great, you know. And it's just like I had the opportunity, didn't do it. And honestly, I'm glad I didn't, because all hell just broke loose after that. In that, like, the new Mario Kart, the footage of it that I see just looks like it's kind of just another Mario Kart, with nothing really going on all that much with it. And then on top of that, like, the system itself apparently just insta-bricks on purpose if it notices any, like, tampering whatsoever has happened, or, like, any amount of a voltage change anywhere that is unexpected. So, like, that's something that can just happen to your console. And then you have to send it to Nintendo, who, like, since have put out an email to people who have bricked their consoles. Like, they can detect that, and they'll send you an email that's like, hey, we see what happened. We'll fix it for, like, money. And so it's like, yeah, like,
that's
that happening
insane.
to people trying to hack their consoles, sure, whatever. You know what risk you're getting into. But I can't help but think about the amount of times that that's going to be, like, a false positive. Because there's no way this doesn't lead to a billion false positives. Have you heard nothing of this?
You
literally
seem
pretty surprised by it.
Well, I didn't know you could pay to get it back. I thought it was just bricked. But that's like ransoming your fucking console, dude. That's insane.
That is fucking
I didn't
wild.
know that was the, like, extent of it, because the hardcore brick, yeah, fine, whatever, but it would almost be less bad if Nintendo was just like, yeah, you bricked your console, sucks, shouldn't have modded it, and then moved on. But the, like, well, if you pay I just think that's honestly some of the worst business practices that I've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's just the more I hear about the Switch 2, the more I hear about how, like, anti-consumer it is as a console, and it's like, I couldn't agree more. It's a Nintendo console in current year. Of course they were going this way. I'm just glad that, like, I'm just glad I got a PC this month, because it saved me from buying one at launch and having that experience too, where it's like, yeah, this is a marginal performance increase over the Switch 1, you know? It's better, but, like, you know? Like, games that ran like shit run now, but, like, that's it. That's the only real, like, boon that people are getting out of this right now, because no other new Switch 2 exclusive games really have come out. And so we're kind of in that, like, 2017 Switch 1 era, like, post-launch, where it's like, yeah, I'm having fun playing Zelda and Snipperclips. Where it's like, yeah, it's a good Mario Kart 9 machine, you know? But, like, otherwise, I don't really know what to do with this, you know? And so, like, maybe when more shit comes out for it, more exclusives, that'll be great. Personally, I'm thinking I'll just wait till the emulator for it drops in a year or two and play it all that way.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some sort of half-decent emulator pretty quickly, especially with how much of it is literally just, like, the Switch 1 framework.
Either they'll buckle and lower the prices, or buckle and, like, put out a revised model that's just, like, the best. Like, they'll put out the 3DS XL equivalent of the Switch 2, where it's like, here's the Switch 2, but, like, here's all the problems with it fixed entirely, and a better screen, and this and that, and, like, some extra bells and whistles at like a cut down price. Take it, you know, and, like, then I'll buy that one. If they put out that one, I'll buy that one. But I'm not buying this.
Yeah. I'll buy the new Switch 2 XL or whatever the fuck they decided to call it. Yeah, I like the 3DS naming schemes.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was a little bit obtuse, but, like, I thought it had character. Honestly, I thought it had character.
It had a lot of character.
The 3DS in general had a lot of character.
Like...
That's another console that I want to buy again, just because it's like, dude, no emulator will be able to, like, help my nostalgia for, like, having a metal console in my hand. Like, not that it was, like, all metal,
yeah.
But, like, the amount of metal they used in the framing on the original 3DS model is, it feels very primo. It's very good.
That thing was like a brick, yeah.
We're still not out of that it's really expensive because the guys like us who are nostalgic for it are buying it right now phase. So we need to, like, give it a few more years before we can, like, have those again. But then we can go on our 3DS nostalgia tour on the cheap too. And so that'll be great.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I didn't realize Nintendo fucking murdered their, like, aftermarket sales, because nobody's gonna fucking buy an aftermarket Switch 1. Nobody's gonna get nostalgic about the Switch 1 around the same year that this happens, because the Switch 2 is out.
Well,
and
yeah, but it was their
runs all the
best
Switch
selling.
1 games.
My argument is it's the best selling console Nintendo's ever produced, so they can afford to kind of just kill it instantly with the sequel.
Yeah,
and honestly,
I suppose
you say that, but I've had relatives reach out to me in light of the Switch 2 coming out that know that I own a Switch, where they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking of getting a Switch for my kid." Like my shitty snot-nosed 4 or 5-year-old who is just old enough to comprehend a video game, so they don't really need the newest latest thing. I'll give you $100 for your old one, help you curb the new one a little bit. And it's like I've thought about taking that offer. So maybe there still is some lifeblood in if they slash the price on it and just start selling get rid of the original Switch model, just sell the Switch Lites, knock them down to $150 instead of $200. You're gonna sell a shitload more of those on the back end of this.
Oh yeah,
I think you're gonna
for
a lot of poorer families are gonna go for that as this is the birthday and Christmas this year now that the new one is finally out, and this one might go down a little bit. So I feel like honestly, now that I think on it more, that it might come around. Honestly, the Switch 1 sales might still be okay clear into the first year of Switch 2.
Yeah. I didn't consider having them just remarket it to a budget model. Because when I was a kid, of course I was in a very, very
again, they still share a library.
At the time, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember because my dad picked me up a Game Boy Advance SP in the year of our Lord 2011, where it was I only recently realized that was 2 years before the end of the DSi's lifetime.
Yeah,
I was literally a whole generation behind.
The SP lived, the SP was VHS tapes, where it's for everybody middle class and above, the Game Boy Advanced SP barely existed after the year 2003. But,
yeah,
for every poor family, for a kid who just wants to get into video games, that was the console that existed in every shithead kid's hands in 2007.
Yeah.
Everybody had a DS, and if you didn't have a DS, you still had a Game Boy at the very least. And again, it worked the same way kinda, because the DS could play Game Boy games. Some kids preferred the Game Boy titles. I knew some kids who chose not to move up to the DSi because it didn't have the Game Boy slot on it. And so were yeah, the new games aren't going to be worth not being able to play every Mario platformer ever released also. And it's yeah, I guess that is a boon. Fuck, you're right. The ability to play all of those on cartridge is fantastic, actually. And so, there were different configurations.
You're forgetting
of
the most important part.
So I figure that's where Switch 1 will end up. The most important part?
The most important about that Game Boy slot is that when they got rid of it for the DSi, they also phased out Guitar Hero support, dude. You couldn't play Guitar Hero on the DS anymore. What a mess that game was.
I knew one kid who bought that game, and he never talked about it again. He got hand cramps.
I bought it,
and then was yeah, no,
I played
that
the
shit
out of it.
The game is cool, but I genuinely I can't play it. It hurt my hand.
Yeah, it probably changed the way that my bones developed in my hands, just because that thing was a fucking disaster to hold.
Grip that fucker. That's such an odd grip stance to sit in for an adult, let alone a child with developing hands. I hadn't considered.
Yeah.
This is evolution, but for playing Guitar Hero on the DS. And only that.
Seriously. With the shitty little pick stylus, that was cute. I thought that was cute.
The pick stylus is a cute addition. Yeah, we can agree on that at least. I think the pick stylus is the cutest thing in the world. Oh man.
Yeah, especially because it had a little it had its own little Game Boy cartridge slot on the machine that you could slide it into, and it would click in there properly like an SD card.
Tick-tick.
I thought that game was fun.
No, that shit is great.
What was your first?
There's so many fucking peripherals, dude. What was my first? I can come back on this peripherals shit, because I got peripherals to talk about. What was my first? What are we on about?
Well, yeah. Well, what was your first like proper console that was yours? We've talked about this a couple times in private, but for me, it was my Game Boy
silver
Advance SP.
Nintendo DS Lite. I played my cousin's
Hmm.
purple SP a lot, but like, there was just a point where like an adult, like it was a weird adult. It was like a second uncle or something who like just
Mhm.
came by one day for like a birthday. No, it was like a Christmas because it's somebody from like one of my cousin's side of the families, and like they were getting a DS, so they got us both a DS, and so we both had one because it was
That's
and it
fucking
was
awesome.
phenomenal. So we just had a DS, and we had like they got us like Mario Kart and New Soup, and we just like played the fuck out of the versus modes on those with like the wireless play. But we only had one copy of
Those
each,
versus modes were
and so
crazy.
like we played like the cut down Mario Kart and like only like the first third of the optional mini games and shit in like, or like we didn't get the minigame shit. We only got the like main versus shit in New Soup because there's minigame shit you could do too, but you had to have 2 copies of the game for those for some reason.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
fucking crazy though. That was a huge development for the DS when they added the ability that hey, you own Mario, congratulations. All of your friends, if they own a DS, can now play a Mario minigame with you.
No, yeah,
I
I
thought
tell
that
this
was
story all the
fucking
time.
incredible as a kid.
I tell this story all the fucking time, but I remember the final day of like 4th or 5th grade. This was like prime DS time. If I did some math, I could get you a year number, but this is like prime time for the DS. Pre 2010 for sure. And we're like one of the final days. I decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'm bringing my DS with me. I'm just gonna have it. I'm gonna have it on me. I'm gonna play some games. It'll be fun. And turns out every single kid in my class and every other kid in every other class had the exact same idea. So I got to have this like so 2000s moment where I'm sitting in a class, like from the moment I was like on the bus to go to school to the moment I got home, I was in various fucking Mario Kart lobbies and like playing all sorts of shit with all sorts of people like from different classes and shit.
Yeah.
Because like it was all just like the third, like it was the group of us on the bus, and then moved to class, and then we're doing it in class with a different group, and then move to recess, and both groups come together, and then fucking separate again, and then back to bus, and like it was just like a day of like, yeah, just play video games with everybody. Find out how many people in your area own a Nintendo DS, and like it was like my own personal little version of the Pokemon Go thing, where it's like, yeah, no, we're both just 2 strangers. Like, we're just a group of strangers, all strange kids, mind you. So it's, like, a little easier, because, like, you know, kids make friends, like, fucking, they pick them up like flies, dude, Jesus. But, like, you know, like, where it's like, yeah, no, we all just, like this thing, and we're all just gonna do this thing now. And some kids had to play as fucking Shy Guy, because they didn't own the game. I forgot about that. So for some of the time, we're limited to certain courses. Which was funny.
Yeah, that's so goddamn funny. Dude, we had gotten a black DSi when the DSi, we had gotten it from like a hand-me-down.
That was like the one to have. That one and the
time.
white one were like the ones to have for the DSi too. Well, no, because they released those pastel ones, but
thing.
everybody had those. Anyway, yeah, you had that thing?
That bitch was great. The little like free games you could get on the App Store. I remember one where on one side you had like a tank,
dude. Oh,
and then on the other side you would have. Oh my god!
You dropping shit over there?
I just dropped something. We're good.
They put all sorts of shit on the fucking like. They put all of that shit from the DSi shop onto the 3DS eShop as downloadable games too. So like I'm right there with you because like again we were poor, so I skipped DSi. I went straight from DS Lite to 3DS because that was the easier transition to make. And so when we did that, when I got my hands on that, dude, it was so much just like fucking Photo Dojo and Freaky Forms and like every other goddamn like DSi ware and 3DS ware like free to like $1 video game, you know? And I got so much play out of those. I almost like I swear I played those more than I played like the official cartridges, you know? Like the AAA stuff barely got played. That was like my intro to like here's what indie video games are, you know? Like, other people make video games that aren't Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony or Sega. Like, there are other companies.
Who was that Domo guy? He had a game on the DS that I used
Domo
to
was
play.
everywhere at that time. Yeah, he was a weird
Yeah.
Japanese TV mascot that just sort of prevailed in internet culture. He was, and then there's Flipnote, dude. Flipnote.
Oh, Flipnote's its own thing.
Flipnote's its own fucking thing. They made Flipnote 3D at some point, but they made it way too late, which is a goddamn shame. If they put that out with the 3DS, Flipnote would have been living for so much longer. But they took forever to get that done and didn't release it until the new 3DS was already out for a year or two. So that line of systems was already kind of on the the people who got the 3DS as a child were a little bit too old to be making Flipnotes. By the time that came out.
Yeah.
The user base of the 3DS was just a little out at that point. But Flipnote on the DSi, we got it the first time.
Yeah. That was so much fun. That one, and I remember fucking around as a kid with the microphone app that they had where you could distort your voice.
Another thing that they just lifted and put directly onto the 3DS afterward, which was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good fun. Those are core childhood memories because everybody references that shit at some point.
Yeah, I was a kid and I was trying to take a photo of a building that we had just walked out of. I don't know why. I think I was going to doodle shit in the windows or something. It was just a particular think of a warehouse building, windows across pretty much the entirety of it. Yeah, I took that and I was going to put little shit into it. But there was a guy who was walking towards his car out of the building, and he did a no to me when I pointed the camera at him. So for the longest time as a kid, I thought it was illegal to take somebody's photo.
Are you serious? That's a hilarious little nugget we just pulled out of this DS conversation. Dude, no, but the DS line of handhelds all the way up through are just such a phenomenal piece. That's just, they nailed that on the head from second number one. Well, maybe not from second number one, because the Fat DS model, which is what people call it. I'm not shaming anybody here. This isn't on me. You got a problem with me calling it the Fat DS? Fucking, you got to take that up with the guys who called it that in 2004, dude. This is a systemic problem. All right, but. Either way, the Fat DS, I'm not really a big fan of because of just because it's such a bulky shitball of a model. It looks cool, but have you ever held one of those?
Which one is
the
this
buttons
again?
Are so mushy. The original one that they announced before the light.
Oh,
the big fucking silver clamshell motherfucker. Everything on that thing feels like it's looser than it should be. I've held multiple of these. The first time I held one, I was like, God damn. Surely, this model has been beat to fuck. Because by the time I had held one for the first time, I was already, it was well past 2004. It was 2010 or 11. So it's this is clearly one that somebody's been playing, since then and loved a lot until recently, And no, then I picked up a new, sold in new condition one at a game store. I was like, oh shit, can I hold that for a second? And because I had never held a good condition one, so I thought. And then I hold it. It's in the exact same goddamn shape. So either that game store is selling a real piece of garbage, or the pieces in that thing just do not hold up with any amount of time. So maybe they didn't nail it minute one.
The pieces in that thing just don't hold up. They didn't nail it minute one. It didn't hold up minute one.
Yeah, but they did it with the
such a shitball.
And then the games, too.
The light was nice.
Oh, man. Mario had a couple good titles. I love New Soup DS to death. That game is a
New
favorite.
Soup was good.
That is a favorite. So I remember with New Soup, the first thing I remember happening is watching my cousin play it, because actually I've misremembered. We didn't get our DSs at the same time. I got mine a month later, is what it was. Or a couple months later, because they were birthday gifts, and our birthdays are only 2 or 3 months apart. And so they got theirs, and I was watching, and I was like, oh man, because again I was 6 or 7 at the time, and I was like, oh man, video games can look good and be in your pocket. That's crazy. Because I was I was only coming off a year off of, holy shit, what is this thing? A GameCube? And the little Italian man moves in it when I press the button. That's crazy. I was only a year away from that. So it's now here's the advent that you can do that just wherever, whenever. You don't have to take a trip to your aunt's house to go play her GameCube. You could buy a console that you can just own, dude. And that was such like a whoa, you know? Because like I was familiar with the Game Boy, but I was like, yeah, surely video games in your pocket can't look better than this then, you know? Oh well, limitation of the medium. And then the DS was my very first instance of, whoa, limitation of the medium gone. What the fuck? We can do this now? That's insane.
Yeah,
so,
we're
like,
able to
that's
do
another
this
thing
shit.
about the DS that's so formative for me. Is just like that was my first time being like impressed with a game system, other than like the GameCube was impressive to me because it was my first ever games console. Period. And then like I had seen a couple, and then the fucking DS, and then like the DS came into life, and I was like, holy shit, that's insane. That thing is crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, give me more of that. But yeah, anyway, I think we're just about at wrap time.
We
It
are
has
just
been
about at
an
wrap
episode
time.
51. This is the first episode of year 2, and it has been incredible, guys. If you liked what you see, you can see more of it now by going to our Patreon. I need to link that to the card. So I'll do that after we're done recording.
In the description for this one. I'll put a direct link in the
Yeah,
description for this
for
one.
this
For
one.
both the card and the Patreon, so that you have both of those.
Yep.
But yeah, you can find Patreon.
So go check that out.
What
down
can they
there.
find on the Patreon, Jed? What can they find there?
Yeah, we've got currently 5 free shows as of this release on the Patreon that you can check out. They're all 30-minute episodes. They're all pretty good.
And they release every week alongside
you can also
the show too now. Like that's the thing about them.
Yes.
That you'll keep getting more of them.
Yes.
Is what I was getting at.
You will continue.
You were not doing a good job
I'm
selling
so
this, like, value proposition wise. You're not just gonna get 5 30-minute shows and that's it. Anyway, go on, Jed. What else? What else? Go on, plug boy.
If you also subscribe, you'll get your name in the post credits that we have now that you'll be seeing in like 2 goddamn minutes. So go enjoy our new post credits, and we'll see all y'all.
Go enjoy the credits. Go enjoy the card. Go enjoy it all. Goodbye.
Bye.